Today's episode is a powerful exploration of faith, identity, fatherhood, and what it truly means to seek God with your whole heart. So before we dive into beliefs and religion, I want to start with you. Who is Aaron King?
That's a great question. And it's going to be a surprise to you.
I'm sure.
Aaron King is an adopted personality. My real name is Amir. I went through a identity change almost a decade ago.
Now I know why you're on the show. That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Once upon a time, early on, door knocking, I knocked this guy's door. And I was with two mentors that kind of brought me onto the whole roofing game, right? And believe it or not, this guy is so funny. He looked like a Sesame Street character. He looked like Big Bird, just a bald Big Bird.
That's great.
He comes out, looks at my cards like, Amir, I didn't order IT support. I don't want you here. I'm like, oh, whoa, I'm just here to like inspect your roof, you know? The two guys I was with, man, they started cracking up. They're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that just happened. That was the funniest thing. This guy was literally like, walk like Big Bird, look like Big Bird, just came out, totally bashed me. And I was like, okay, shrug my shoulders. Later that day, we're having some beers, having some dinner. They're like, dude, you gotta switch it up. You know, like, you're so great at this. Like, let's pick an American name for you.
Oh my God.
You know, like, what do you want to do? I was like, I don't know, man. Anything that starts with the A, because, you know, A always comes first. Long story short, 10 years later, it's who I am. And in the industry, I'm very well known as Aaron King.
Love the last name King, by the way.
Thank you.
And you grew up Muslim. You studied Jesus. You definitely lived in between. What's it like holding that much spiritual weight?
Well, that's a good question. I think it's more of a rift than weight. I'm stuck in a duality, or I thought I was stuck in a duality until I started my adventure and my journey of discovering who Jesus is, right? Being born in the UAE, predominantly Muslim country, Islamic faith, and everything that has to go with it. Since the age of 3.5, when I started to learn how to read and write, learning Arabic and reading the Quran was the first thing that I was introduced to as a child. The faith, the belief, the culture, the respect, everything that goes into it. It was instilled in me, and it still is. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about your childhood.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Arabic, Greek, and Italian. My dad is full-blooded Arabic, Kashmiri to be in fact. There's a small province in the base of Mount Everest called Azad Kashmir. My dad's side of the family, they all originate from there. My mom, on the other hand, her parents are Macedonian and Sicilian, and they migrated after they experienced a war at a very early age, and they migrated from their countries with their parents when they were young to Iraq. And my parents met in Basra when my dad was working there. And I was born in the UAE because my dad had some businesses there, and I was very fortunate. And now I have triple citizenship, and it's a beautiful thing.
What made you guys come to America?
So in 99, my dad had lost both of his Mercedes dealerships in Jumeirah in Dubai, and he just had everything stolen underhand. He trusted someone he shouldn't have, and within weeks, we were looking at poverty of being homeless, losing everything. Luckily, my Uncle Fayaz, rest in peace, he came to the States in the early 60s. He graduated from Cornell University, and his biggest dream was to unite his whole family to experience what we call the American dream. So my uncle was doing very well. He sponsored myself, my sister, my father, and my mother to come to America. Remember, one day we're at the American Embassy in the UAE, and a few weeks later, we're landing at LAX, where my uncle's picking us up in his O.J. Simpson Bronco and drove us from LAX back to Las Vegas. Yeah.
So you were in the Air Force too, right?
I was for a little while. Yeah.
Yeah. How was that?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Definitely interesting. I definitely lucked out because story of my life is I've always landed in places without trying. It's always been this pull, this magnetic force that's always helped me either land a job, opportunity, anything. I used to have a friend, still do. We're not as close anymore. He moved back to Plymouth, England. So he was from Plymouth, and his dad was one of the first Predator drone pilots from England. He came out on a work visa, and his son Russell, who I was really good friends with, came out on a student visa. We both attended Palo Verde High School. Go Green Sticks. But Russell was a great kid. He loved anime. He loved video games, but he got bullied a lot of it because of it. Well, me just growing up the way I have and actually experiencing a lot of the discrimination and the bullying I experienced from a very early age, especially after 9/11, you know, went from having,
Oh yeah.
went from having some children that were like, my friends in third and fourth and fifth grade, and then that stuff happening and getting jumped on almost a daily basis in middle school from those same kids I used to play Foursquare or tetherball with and stuff like that during recess. So for 3 years, it was rather brutal. A lot of things happened, and I was stuck in a very hard place between my family and assimilating in society, and now that I look back on it, I understood how difficult it was for me as a child, someone in sixth grade, having to go through the abuse and torment that people can put you through. I never really realized what my dad may have been going through,
Right.
because when we first moved to America, my uncle was kind enough to pay for a whole year's worth of rent at an apartment for us, you know, furnished our whole apartment. My sister and I shared a room. My parents, we had a 2-bedroom apartment. I still remember Angel Park Apartments 226.
Of course, Angel Park.
Yeah. And, it was really something. My dad worked 3 jobs. He made pizza at Chuck E. Cheese. There's a car wash franchise in Vegas called Terrible Hearst. He used to wash cars. Then he worked nighttime security at the apartment complex down the street from our apartment and worked his butt off. Eventually, entrepreneurship is something he's always been fond of, something he's always done. This is like how my family was founded,
Right.
It's through war, through conquering lands and, eradicating enemy forces and stuff. There was a time where the Britons took over India and Pakistan and, a lot of crossbreeding happened, a lot of bad things happened as well. And essentially, one thing I say is I got warrior blood inside me. The fighting and triumph and conquering has always been like at the forefront. But my journey over the course of time has taught me more. Being a warrior in a garden rather than a gardener in a war.
So you kind of felt like you had to hide your identity when you were a kid in a way. Because because of all that. Oh, it's awful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me about the Quran. That's why I wanted you on this show. Like when you asked me to be on the show, first of all, I want to know what made you feel like you wanted to come on the show?
So, as I mentioned earlier, I've always landed in places.
Yeah.
Just always. And this is one of those scenarios.
Wow.
Ever since meeting you and the few conversations we had early on, I did sense similarities in our mindsets and our ideology. But what I've noticed the most about you is that you're searching for something, answers to things that you're not yet aware of.
Yeah.
And my journey in life and the questions you've asked me thus far, I want to take this opportunity to really just make people aware of what else is out there.
Right.
You and the reach that you have to hundreds of thousands of people, one day they're going to be able to see this and say, this man that lives in a bridge, right?
Yeah.
That has been able to connect religions, ethnicities, cultures, assimilate so many different things. What is his point of view like? at the end of the day, everyone looks at the world with rose-tinted lenses.
Right.
Let's talk about what my tint looks like.
I love that. And I kind of feel like you're setting the tone for this show. Like you're blending. You're going to help blend Christianity and Islam beliefs in a way. I don't know yet. I don't know exactly. I don't even know what you believe yet, but I kind of feel like that's what's going to be unfolding here soon.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but who knows?
As long as you have an open mind and all the viewers have an open mind, you guys are going to experience a plethora of information and experiences that have shaped who I am today.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Of course.
So let's dive into the Quran. I've always wanted to know about the Quran for a long time, but I know it's a tough read, and I never really had the time to like sit down and actually do it.
Yeah.
What did the Quran teach you about God that still lives in you today?
That there is only one God.
Okay.
That monotheism, theism is the way. Once upon a time in Arabia, there was discord and dysfunction where so many deities existed that there was no real order. And
Right.
monotheism was introduced to society to not only tame wild animals, because essentially that's what we are as humans. We have very wild animalistic instincts, right?
Yes.
Religion was created to protect us from our own self.
Right.
So in the Quran, one of the first lessons you learn is no matter what you do or how good you do or how much of it you do, you will never be able to wash the sins off or cleanse yourself. You can never do anything enough to fully repent and ask for forgiveness and receive that. We can always keep at it, and pray that God will forgive us for any sins and issues, anything that we've caused over the course of life, just being born.
So wait, you're saying that the Quran says that you can never get rid of sin?
You can never do enough to wash the sins away, that the consistency of worshiping God and one true God is the only course. My uncle passed away last June.
I'm sorry about that.
And thank you. He was the uncle that sponsored 73 of us to come to America. Legal way, visas, transitioned into, naturalization papers, passports, paying, he paid $750,000 for the four of us to come out to America without blinking an eye.
Wow.
My uncle was fortunate to make the money he did. He was the head food and beverage director at MGM Grand when it first opened. So one of the original Maloof casinos, and Maloof is a Egyptian guy, Muslim as well, owns 13 major casinos and hotels in Las Vegas. Huge, right? My uncle was very invested and deep in the network of the starting of Las Vegas and what is transitioned into today. In his later years, he became a city councilman for District 4, fighting for a lot of rights of Southeast Asians and, fighting to end the discrimination and the racism and everything that they're experiencing, and helping out other foreign entrepreneurs get the help and aid that they need.
What an angel.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
What does the Quran say about Jesus that most Christians don't know?
Jesus was renowned, but more than Jesus, his mother Mary was renowned. Mary is given the highest praise that anyone can be given, in my opinion, more than Muhammad. She was renowned as the most perfect, as a woman to bring the most perfect man into the world. Jesus was a miracle, right? He was born not from sin, because, and I hate to get into this so soon.
No, please.
The original sin was not eating a forbidden fruit. It was the sin of the flesh, Eve and the serpent, that was the Lucifer, the devil, Satan, Shaitan is what we call in Arabic, convinced Eve to fornicate with him. And that's what caused the original sin. God was mad at Adam, right? not for eating the forbidden fruit, but for relinquishing authority and dominion and letting Eve decide Adam eat the apple. He was never mad at Adam for eating it. He was mad at Adam for letting Eve decide.
Convincing him. Yeah. Oh, wow.
And listening to that. We can always touch more about that later if you like, but to stay on topic, there have been more miraculous births than just Jesus himself. And not to take anything away from Jesus, his birth was magical. It was holy. Mary did not consummate with anyone. She was a virgin. She was given the praise. God chose the most purest woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
That has not been defiled by anyone, has not been touched by anyone. And she gave birth to the greatest man to ever walk on earth. Yeah. And that leads me to my next point. Jesus is a perfect representation of what a true Muslim is.
Really?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Explain, like, what are the similarities?
So, when you talk in the sense of Muslim, what does it mean? And in Islam, Jesus is considered a Muslim. And let me explain what Muslim really means to people that may not know. Muslim is a believer that believes in one and only one true God.
And is that Allah?
In Arabic, God in English is called Allah in Arabic.
Okay.
And Theo in Egyptian, and so on, right? There are many, many, many different names for God, and due to culture, language, and just so many things that divide us is what changes the meaning of one word.
Mm-hmm.
And since we're on this topic, maybe we can talk about how one text has remained the same for going on 1,600 years, right? Because the Quran was written in 1400.
It's never been changed?
Has not been changed even once. Written in Arabic, remained in Arabic. There are people, hundreds of millions of people that know the Quran word by word, letter by letter. In Christianity, you have pastors, right? Pastors that, lead the whole sermon, right? Imagine if one pastor were to say something wrong or say a verse or anything wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
And someone in the crowd says, "Oh no, Pastor so-and-so, that is incorrect. The true text and context is X, Y, and Z." In Islam, if a Mulvi, right, were to mess up or get anything wrong, someone that's praying along, chanting alongside them will go ahead and correct them. And there's absolutely zero ego. Yeah. So if you were to take all the Quran in the world and burn them, there will be hundreds of millions of people that can rewrite it.
Wow.
Word for word. Now we're going to talk about the Bible. Originally, the Bible was Hebrew and Aramaic. So Jesus was technically born in Palestine, in Bethlehem and Nazareth. Okay. Jesus walked as the greatest human of all time, as the greatest prophet of all time, as the greatest Muslim of all time. And I truly do believe that, and my journey has led me to this conclusion. Now, to elaborate further, when Jesus said that I work all miracles through God, that, my miracles are not me. I worship God. I bow my head to the ground to worship God, the Almighty, the one and only. He never said, worship me.
Right.
Fellow Hebrews. He never said, hey, take on me as your all in all. He said, no, through me, you can find God.
Why do you think we did that?
Well, that's a beautiful question. And this mainly comes down to one tyrannical king named King James. King James.
I heard about him.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about how the Bible changed over time.
Yeah.
Okay. And now how we are exposed to 45,000 to 50,000 different denominations of Christianity. The way Christianity started was, it really was supposed to be that final end all be all, right? Jesus came as the most perfect example for you to follow, for us to follow.
Right.
Love thy neighbor, super easy. Treat everyone with love, kindness, and respect, super easy. Don't hurt people. Don't commit murder. Don't do bad things, right? Don't fornicate with little children. Don't do X, Y, and Z, right? It was such a simple way. And he actually walked the walk rather than just talking the talk. He washed people's feet.
Yeah.
He cured the sick. He forgave a woman stuck, selling her body and said, God, can I ever get forgiveness? I thought I could touch your cloth and my sins would be washed away. I'm sorry for touching you. Jesus turns around and says, you have nothing to be sorry for. Why do you think you need to touch me physically for your sins to be washed away? For I'm always with you. What a beautiful person.
I know.
I get goosebumps.
I know. I
really
see
do,
that. I do.
It's such a beautiful person. And then you talk about Islam coming into the picture, centuries later. In fact, 6-7 centuries later. So on first century, you have the Bible, right? But the teachings go far, far before Jesus, if you really think about it, because Catholicism started everything, right? And that was one of the first religions that came to the world. And then you have Judaism. And majority of who Jesus is, how he was brought about, he was Hebrew. He was born predominantly on a continent, in a country that is predominantly Hebrew, and they spoke Aramaic, where the first 5 chapters, like the Torah, right, is what the original Christianity is based off of. And then today you have so many people that live their life based off of a rewritten version of the Bible that was written back in 1611, so like 400 years old, right? Where it's over 2,000 years old. So you can take 1,600 years worth of history, information, and write it off, right? And you're going to say, I'm going to pick this part, I'm going to pick this part, I'm going to pick this part, I'm going to use it in my benefit.
Exactly.
So
to control.
Yeah.
What are some of the Bible has 10 commandments. So what are the commandments, or what do they call that in the Quran?
Same thing. It is commandments, right? Don't hurt your neighbor, don't steal, don't murder people, don't, X, Y, and Z, don't lie.
So they're exactly the same?
It is very similar. So there is a lot of similarities in Christianity and Islam that one would really not ever find out unless they were to venture and study and learn everything themselves, kind of like how I've taken the initiative.
Yeah.
I say break the CNN program.
Right. Because at least for me, all I've heard is like negative things about Islam and the Muslims, and how, it's just like they beat us with that programming. And that's why I wanted to have you on, because I wanted to know the truth about, what's going on here, really. And yeah, I mean, what would you say to people?
Absolutely. When people say that Muslim are bad people, I look in my family and say, you're talking about my family, because with the exception of me,
right,
my family all follows the Islamic belief, and they're all amazing people.
Yeah.
They don't drink, they don't smoke, they don't do drugs, they don't go to clubs, they don't commit insurance fraud, they don't commit tax evasion, they're not Epstein's list, so many things, right? All they do is come here, open businesses, give other people an opportunity to work and make money so they can support their family and pay taxes, and don't really commit crime or do anything. And that's majority of Muslims today. One thing in the Quran, it says grow with the times, right? And there's a lot of hatred that Muslims get, and one of the biggest factors is talking about Muhammad, right? Prophet Muhammad did not live life like Jesus.
Okay, yeah. What are the differences between them?
So, whereas Jesus taught us to love and to forgive, right? Prophet Muhammad taught us to have the love in our heart, right? So we can stop being so unequally treated. A lot of people think in Islam, women are subjugated and they're treated poorly and they have no liberation and they don't have an identity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
At least that's what I've been taught. Yeah, like the women are abused over there and they're like treated like shit and all that, and they have to like cover themselves for a reason. But I read last night that they cover themselves because they're declaring their faith. Is that correct? Or
yes, yes, and so much more to that.
Yeah.
So let me start off by saying this. The very first university ever founded was by a Muslim woman. Yeah.
Wow.
Islamic faith. Muhammad, what he did was he tried to cleanse the world in a certain way where women can be liberated and not treated like cattle. Because in a dysfunctional and discorded Arabia before monotheism, women were treated like cattle. They were, unfortunately, because they don't have the physical prowess to protect themselves or enforce anything. It's always the men, right? Even in today's day and age, you have a lot of independent, strong women that make a lot of money, right? But we all know as soon as a physical threat comes along, right?
Right.
It's usually a big, strong man in a uniform and a gun that comes to save the day, you know? I'm not here to bash anyone or put anyone down. I feel like men and women are equally as important, but they equally have responsibilities that they're responsible for,
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
And that's what I've been taught in my nuclear family growing up. My mom never worked a day in her life. My dad did very well.
I love that.
Yeah. she had the blessings and privilege to raise 5 amazing children that she got to spend every single day with. I have twins. I have a younger brother, Danny, looks just like me. He's 10 years younger. I have a sister named Rabia, that has a beautiful son named Xander, and he's the cutest, and my family's growing. And the thing is, it's I see the struggles that my sisters are going through these days, dating or being married to men that don't follow the same faith or culture that we were grown.
Mm-hmm.
And they're suffering in a way because just like how I was groomed to take over the family business and be this way, right? I find myself to have a hard time in the dating market as well because my beliefs and my culture are so instilled in me. You know, my biggest joy is the joy of giving to my loved ones. You know?
Me too.
And I heard something about you recently, and I'm jaw dropped. And
Me?
I was so impressed. Oh yeah.
What?
Heard all the great things you do for your mom.
Oh, my whole family.
Yeah.
See, I would have loved the Muslim mentality. You know, the guy takes care of the family, the guy takes care of everything. Like that's what I would love to have, right?
Yeah.
Like, but I've always been kind of like a man, like survival, taking care of everybody in my family.
Well,
So it's like ass backwards, and it does make me have resentment a little bit, and it does make me feel like I can't settle into my femininity like I normally could if everybody thought like
yeah,
you
absolutely.
guys, right? Yeah,
Absolutely. It is so when women in Islam get married, they're allowed to ask the man they're marrying for anything. I want $500,000 transferred to my account in the next 10 days, right? And he has to do that.
Damn.
I want a Mercedes AMG 1. I want a $30,000 ring. I want a house. I want to go on this vacation. And she has a right to anything she wants, one request, and he has to do it. He has to. Otherwise, he's going to be looked at in a very unfavorable way from the father, from the woman, from her family, that he can't take care of her.
So what the hell's wrong with that?
No, nothing.
No, I mean, like people try to over here, well, at least some people over here in America make it seem like it's so bad to be a woman in Islam, you know.
There is nothing wrong, because here's the thing. A lot of women in the West have lost self-respect. And because a lot
Yes.
of them have been forced to do things that they never really wanted to.
Right.
All right. And that causes a lot of internal conflict in people, right?
Yes.
And when one has to go through that and has to take on so much on their shoulders and their play, really God is the only thing that can save you and give you any leeway and like take that burden off you, right?
Right.
But in Islam, men are given such a strong and like tough responsibility that not only do they have to carry the burden and weight of their own lives, they're also responsible 100% for the women in their lives.
So what's the return? Like what's, how they say, how you said that if the woman wants something, they have to do it immediately. So are they to be submissive to the man? Is that what the whole paradigm has?
Both Christianity and Islam says the same context that men love your wives, women submit to your husbands,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah.
But in Islam, women are considered the prize. That's why they're treated so lovely and so greatly. And the West has just misconstrued the whole idea that a woman having enough self-respect to cover herself, to hide
Yeah.
herself from the sexual gazes of men.
Right.
Because here's the thing, at the end of the day, if a man really wants to do something, he has enough physical force to take it.
Right.
Right.
They're just doing it out of respect, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and men
yeah.
know how other men think. So at the end of the day, if I think a certain way, but due to my certain beliefs, my constraints, how I choose to be in life, right, I will not follow certain temptation, right? Because I know animal instinct is one thing, right? But I'm also a civilized, domesticated man that has a strong faith in God. And therefore, one day I'm supposed to return to God. And is God really going to say, I give you a big, strong body, and look what you used it for?
Yeah.
Bad things,
See.
That's not what I'm about.
What is their take on, well, what is your take on hell, heaven and hell?
It definitely exists.
It does.
It exists. It definitely exists. And why I say exist is simple, right? And religion has taught us this. They say in the end times, bad will be good and reputed. Everyone will be, for instance, Sam Smith, Christina Aguilera had a family concert with little children present, right? Where Sam Smith dressed up in a BDSM.
I saw
and
that
Christina-
train wreck.
Yeah, and Christina Aguilera comes out with a whole color and size male appendage attached to her, and there's little 3-4-year-old girls and kids in the crowd watching all this.
Sick.
This is what's going on with the Western society. It's corrupting, it's falling apart because people have chosen that going to church on Sunday and all my sins will be cleansed away. I can do whatever I want.
Right.
Tax evasion, go to Epstein's Island and have fornication with little children and do this and do that,
Yeah.
right? Because at the end of the day, someone as awful as King James rewrote the Bible in his political view for his gains, right? So who is King James? Why should we follow his version of the Bible? Why should we not go to day one and say, okay, Hebrews had something right. They crucified their own Messiah, but the Messiah himself, that was his culture. His religion was to worship God, not himself. It's so weird. King James wanted everyone to worship him like he was God. If you touched King James or his clothes or you licked his shirt, you would be cured. You would be healed. He was obviously bi, if not gay. He used to fornicate with young boys, so he's a pedophile. He burned witches, saying that they should die slow and torture, give them enough time to repent and to tell the truth. So he burned the witches at the stake. He he didn't write the Bible. All he did was give all the Latin context to Oxford graduates who've never left England to write everything about a brown-skinned, dark hair Palestinian man, right? That
Yeah.
now somehow looks like Jared Leto in every single church you go to, And that's what's wrong. You know, that's what's wrong. You have 45 to 50,000 denominations. That means you have a denomination for Christianity fits your bill, right?
Right.
You have a shoe for everyone's foot size,
Huh.
right? You got Pentecostal, you got them whipping with little like snakes and tongues, you know.
Yeah.
It just sounds like gibberish to me, really. There's no such thing as tongues. There's sounds like a demonic language. And oh, speaking of demonic, King James was writing a whole chapters and like books on demonology. That's where the
Really?
whole context where witches came in and everything. Yeah, yeah. Awful, awful man. And then people decided, you know what? I think he's on to something. Let's go ahead and commit sin. Let's just keep doing whatever we want. We'll just show up to church on Sunday and say, God, please wash us of all of our sins. Please cleanse us. We'll eat some bread. We'll drink some wine. We'll say the Trinity, and things are done and said. Whereas in the Islamic faith, Muslim faith, no, it's never enough. Why do you pray
Wow.
5 times a day? Because it's not enough. Why did Jesus bow his head to God? Because it was never enough, right? If you don't put gas in your car, it won't start and move forward. So if you don't pray and your spirit gauge is not full, you can't perform miracle or divine miracles. You know, you can't
Right.
do that.
Right.
Your fuel tank has to be full.
So do you think that's why they say like Jesus died for our sins so they could keep sinning?
Jesus never died for our sins.
Really?
Jesus was never crucified.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, you are blowing my mind now because I've been in the church since I'm like 3, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, my programming is thick.
Yeah.
So go on, tell me more.
So let's start here. Originally, Jesus is not Jesus, it's Yahshua.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And most people know that because we live in a day of technology
Mhm.
and connection to people and information with AI is in our pocket. It's like a snap of a finger. And I think it's a
love
beautiful
AI.
thing, right? Right? It's great. But here's the thing, now that we're learning more, and I'm back in the repetition of increasing my spiritual knowledge and my faith, right?
Right.
I'm learning more all over again. And with the most recent turn of events, what's happening with Israel, Palestine.
I actually wanted to
Yeah.
ask you about this, but go ahead, go back to what you're saying.
and
Sorry.
then Jake Lang. All right, you're an awful person. All right.
Who's that?
Jake Lang is a baptized Jew who got baptized in Israel, right? That came to America and proclaimed to be Jesus, yelled Jesus is king multiple times to get the Christians rallied. So Christians can now proclaim war against Muslims.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is the antagonism that these people do, right? CNN mentality,
Yes.
right? They'll sit here
Well,
and
hell,
say,
all news mentality nowadays.
nowadays, yeah. And I've seen things where about 100 plus news channels were broadcasted live, all at the same time, and their narrative, their starting and everything was the same. Thank you for tuning in, blah, blah, blah. Domestic terrorist attack,
Yep.
X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. But that's the thing. From a very long time ago, words are spells, right? Anything you say manifests into real time over time,
Yeah.
right? If I wake up every day and say, Aaron, you got this, you're going to make tons of money, everyone loves you, you're going to build a great strong body, you're going to touch millions of lives, you're going to help people expand their consciousness and their horizon, eventually that's going to come into fruition,
You
right?
keep going at it, yeah.
But if I say negative things, guess what? It's going to be negative.
Same shit.
Now, most people that watch TV, what are we subjugated to? Brain control.
Absolutely. I stopped watching TV a
Yeah.
long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, all these ads,
Pretty
Super Bowl
much.
commercial, everything you see, it's all mind control. Just like when they say, for instance, someone that's Muslim did something bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a terrorist, right?
Right. That's all.
But-
That's all I thought Muslims were
Yeah.
because of the programming. You know, thank
But-
God you're on my show.
But a Caucasian kid shoots half of the school and has a Columbine shooting. It's an act of terror. Somehow he's not a terrorist, even though he's committing acts of terror. It's the verbiage, right? It's the way the media labels people, right?
Right.
Muslims are being depicted as evil entities, as evil people that
Yep.
believe in committing atrocious acts of violence because supposedly Muhammad was a warlord.
Hmm.
I'm not going to deny that. Now let's talk about Muhammad and Jesus. Jesus was born out of sin.
Well, hold on, back up.
Yes, go ahead.
I want to know, what is Islam's true perspective on Israel and the division around it right now?
So, love thy neighbor. Love thy neighbor. Here's the thing. Palestine and Israel are neighbors. How are we going to war with one another, right? There's bad apples in everything, right? There's good Muslims, there's bad Muslims, there's good Christians, there's bad Christians, there's
Right.
good it's a yin and yang, right? You need equal force, you need enough darkness to expose the light and vice versa. There's no shadow without light, right? The world needs that. When God proclaimed the devil, Lucifer, he made him the prince of earth. We used to be able to live almost up to a millennia, right? You got Seth, Adam's son, living to 963 years, right? Then all of a sudden after Moses' time, you're cut off at 120, right? Why is that? Because God
why
knows.
is that?
Because in the world, it's nothing but suffering. God didn't intend the world to be this way. We were actually Adam was made from clay and dust. Literally just out of nowhere, clay and dust, sugar, spice, everything nice. Boom, here's Adam. He walks the earth, lonely, sad, no purpose. God makes him Eve. In Islam, what you're looking at is, if you look at some of the most recent videos of people antagonizing Muslim people, Islamic faith, when they're praying, they're not bothering anyone. I recently saw a video of 6 kids, right? College kids on the top level of the parking lot, right on the corner of the parking lot with their prayer mats down, right? Trying to pray, not bothering anyone. 2 men come, I'm going to assume Christian faith. That really has really has nothing to do with it. They chanted Jesus is king multiple times, just like Jake Lang did. Jesus would never do that to them.
No.
Jesus will watch over them and keep them safe.
Right.
So I just don't understand anyone that says they're Christian, right, wants to live in such a disgusting way where you can expose so much hatred on one another.
Right. Right.
And you just have to give God all the credit and know that this evil world, it does end. And our lives, I mean, most of us live up to 70 years on average. It goes by quick, and then we're back with God before you know it. And he plays your whole life back to you and says, what do you think I should do? You want to come join me in heaven, or you think you belong in hell? Right?
Damn.
It's all written there. And Islamic faith, they know that there is a book with all your deeds written on there, good and bad. And it weighs. It's a scale. It weighs. And if your bad deeds outweigh your good ones, you can bet that you're not going to heaven.
Well, my Christian programming just came in. It was like, yeah, but if God sent his son, he knew that we were going to sin. So then why would we be damned to hell if he knew we were going to sin, and if we decided to follow Christ?
God never let Jesus die. And let me explain it this way. Do you believe God is almighty and all powerful and can perform miracles?
Yes.
Without any effort, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
At will.
At will.
Yeah.
Okay. Jesus is about to be crucified. His mortal body, who God chose to be a messenger, a prophet, a Messiah, right? His mortal body is about to die. Do you really think that God is going to let that happen?
Well, that's what I was wondering. Like, why would God let that happen?
3 variations I can talk to you about that could help expand your understanding of this.
Okay.
First and foremost, in the Islamic faith, Jesus, it's never described 100% what really happened, but it is reason to believe that he was lifted into the heavens.
Okay.
That he was brought back to God, because at that point, his duty was done. Okay. It was a lookalike, someone that resembled Jesus that was crucified on the cross. Right? If you think about it this way,
I've never heard this perspective. This is like blowing my wig off.
How can you kill God?
Yeah.
How can you kill God? How can you cause injuries to God? God is divine.
Right. Oh.
You can't hurt God.
Right.
It's the Greeks that believe that you can make a sword to kill Zeus, right? It's the Greeks that believe in multiple different gods. You got a god for the ocean, Poseidon. You got a god for every time there's a thunderstorm, Zeus. You got a god for when you fall in love, Aphrodite.
Yeah.
You know. You got Athena, which is even more reckless than the god of war, Ares. You know, there's so many different gods. That's polytheism.
Mm-hmm.
That's what causes discord and dysfunction in civilization, just like having 50,000 different denominations.
So who was it that decided that Jesus got killed on the cross?
So that happened around when the Greeks started to translate the Bible, and this was around like 600 AD, if I'm not mistaken. Now, I'm not a scholar. I don't claim to be. I don't have everything recited 100%. Everything has been coming to me step by step, right?
Mm-hmm.
The level I'm at right now, I can say I am the bridge where I'm Arabic, I'm Greek, Italian. I lived in 3 different countries. I speak 5 different languages. I've read the Quran multiple times. I've studied the Bible multiple times. I'm even studying Catholicism right now. I really want to learn. I want to know. But what happens is when I start to feel these goosebumps, when something resonates in me, is when I really, really believe that I'm onto something.
Absolutely. I get the same thing on my face even.
Yeah. It's a crazy thing. I was at the gym the other day and I have this shirt that says, God got me. And every time I wear it, people always give me the most, love your shirt, man. It's so great. We love it, blah, blah, blah. Talking about God. I was in the locker room before I even got started workout. This older man is like, man, God has done some crazy things for me. I would not be here without him. And that's all it really is, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's the feeling you get. And that's really all I hope that anyone watching this podcast today is going to resonate with them.
Right.
You know, I went to Mosaic Church back in 2014 in Huntersville. It's not too far from here. And the pastor there was a Pakistani guy that converted from Islam to Christianity, right? He told a story about a demon that haunted and plagued him for numerous years. And no matter anything in Islam, he wasn't able to eradicate that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with finding Jesus and devoting his life to Jesus and whatnot, he was finally able to liberate himself and to eradicate what plagued him for numerous years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I were to sit here and bridge that between Christianity and Islam, there are certain things missing in Islam that Christianity has, and then vice versa.
Yeah, I want to know those.
So, number one thing is the messages that came from the prophets, right? In Christianity, you can't talk about prophets as much because Jesus is the end all. They think that he is God.
Okay.
And if you believe Jesus is God, that's polytheism.
Okay.
It's that simple. Yes, God can be in multiple places at once, but God also lives outside of space, time, and matter. You and I, unfortunately, we live in space, time, and matter. That means I can't go back to 2001, 9/11 and tell someone that this is going to happen today. Right? I can't. If God wanted to, he can, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's something called the fourth, right? A lot of people in the Quran have been able to access the fourth where they've been in multiple different places at the same time.
The fourth dimension?
The fourth dimension.
Yeah.
And
see, I feel like I get access to that all the time.
Have you seen Harry Potter?
I have not.
Okay.
I've heard of it, and I just never had desire.
So Harry Potter, there's a scene in one of the movies. I'm going to say it's The Prisoner of Azkaban. It's the third one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hermione Granger has this little locket, right? So she's like studying to get extra credits, and she has to take like 24 classes, right? And you've been in high school, I've been in high school. We know that 8 is max you can do on 2 different days, A day, B day, whatever the case may be. Well, Hermione's trying to do everything, so she has this little locket that can transport her between dimensions and time.
Mm-hmm.
So she shows up where Harry and Ron are, right, when they're trying to save the little, like, birded beast, right? She shows up out of nowhere. Hermione, how'd you get there? That right there is a representation of the fourth, right? How you can access the fourth and be in multiple places at once. And what I mean by once is not one body manifesting into multiple different physical areas,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I can be in this room today at 1:30 p.m., right? But at the same time, 1:30 p.m., I could be at my house.
Hmm.
And I'm in multiple places at once because still 1:30 on this day.
Hmm.
But just going back to your original question, right?
Yeah.
Talking about like God and like how different Jesus is and all that, right?
Right.
Muhammad,
How Christians believe that Jesus is the Son of God.
yes.
Yeah, they don't believe he is God.
Well, no, they believe he is God. And they do.
Well, a part of the trilogy, like
Yeah.
all in one, like I believe that God is within me.
I believe we all have God inside of us.
Yeah. I
Because
mean, we came from it. How could we not?
yeah, if we have
You know?
stardust in our DNA, we have the God particle in our DNA.
Well, it's like if I had my son, there's part of me in my son, right?
Absolutely.
God created us, so I believe there's part of God in us.
Yes.
So, yeah.
We all have the God particle,
Yeah.
and I believe keeping our spiritual gauge as full as possible allows us to access those God particles.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Like I said earlier, your car won't go anywhere without fuel.
Yeah.
And your spiritual journey won't ever mount to anything without you actually practicing worshiping God.
Mm-hmm.
In my belief, worshiping God comes in the most basic ways, right? Being a good human being and following teachings that have been presented in front of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just be a good person. Don't hurt people. Don't slap people. Don't steal from people. Don't take food from their table. Don't deformate them. Don't kill them.
Yeah.
If you see something bad going on and you have the power to do something, do it.
Right.
You see a homeless person suffering in the cold. You got a jacket in your truck that, you don't use much. It's just there. Give them your jacket. We're blessed with plenty of stuff. The blessings we have is all meant to be shared. God works his blessings and miracles sometimes through us rather than just through thin air, right?
Yeah. Oh, I believe he does that every day, uses us as
Yeah.
vessels, right? To work that.
Absolutely.
But I want to go back to the programming a little bit. And how do you believe politics, or how have politics distorted what Muslims and Christians really believe about each other?
Okay, great. Let's just start at 1611 when King James Version of the Bible came out.
Okay.
Is he a good man? Anyone ask yourselves, is he a good man? No, but we're going to follow his context of the Bible, right?
Mhm.
So you can go ahead and start to say that somewhere around 1611 that things started to change.
Yeah.
And they didn't change for the better, they changed for the worse. Because disgusting behavior has happened time in and time again. And the belief that something small as going to church for 1 hour on a Sunday is enough to cleanse everything away.
Mm-hmm.
It's every single day. If I went to the gym for 1 hour on Sunday, I will never gain muscle, no matter
Right.
how hard I try. But if I went to the gym 6 days a week for 1 hour a day, I will be in really good shape.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple. It's practice makes perfect. You will never be a devout believer and have true faith without constantly submitting to God. And the politics that come into play right now is oil, money, one world currency that allows the destruction of the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
One religion will save the world, one currency destroys the world. These days, I see more people, and the right word is not converting, but reverting back to Islam. And they say it's reverting. And this may lead me to a point you're probably not ready to ask me yet.
Go ahead. What is it?
There's a lot of questions where my belief truly lies, right? Some believe I'm stuck in the middle of Christianity and Islam. Some believe that because I've devoted myself to Christ, that I'm more on the sideline of Christianity rather than Islam. But if you truly ask me, Islam and Christianity aside, I would say I'm Muslim.
Really?
I am Muslim. And Muslim means I obey one God.
Yeah.
I'm not here worshiping Lord Krishna, and I'm not disrespecting Lord Krishna, nothing like that. At the end of the day, people will believe and listen to and do what they believe is right, how they perceive the world from their own rose-tinted lenses.
Yeah.
If I believe that I commit insurance fraud or I commit tax evasion or I'm into little boys, right? There's somewhere in the denominations that I can relinquish my accountability and be forgiven. And then come Monday, I can do it again.
Right.
Or as soon as I leave service on Sunday, I can do it again. And this is not to bash a Christian.
I don't feel bashed at all. Yeah, I don't feel that at all.
Islam's believe that you should be Christian. Muslims believe that Christianity is a beautiful religion and you should be living life as a Christian. Our biggest upset is no one's living life as a Christian anymore. And to live as a Christian, you just have to do what Jesus did. Don't eat pork. Don't eat swine. Jesus didn't eat swine. It's a sin. It's a sin.
I eat bacon a lot.
It's a sin. It was the Romans that said, so when the Greeks and the Romans started to change the Bible for their own benefit, they said that, oh, not eating swine, that's not good for PR. So hey guys, just get over it. Then the New Testament comes out. That's the transition for the New Testament, because you're taking Aramaic and Hebrew context, right? And you're taking Yahshua to Jesus, just like Zeus, right? U.S., right? You got Jesus, U.S. You got a lot of Prometheus. You got Poseidon. You got everything, right? Well, that's the issue. Now you have the New Testament. Well, the New Testament allows us to get away with so much.
I know.
Right? There was a demon that plagued humans for a very long time, known as legions, right? In the act of liberating the Hebrew slaves while Jesus was liberating them, legions attacked Jesus, right? Jesus was able to perform a divine miracle and eradicated 100% from the human flesh. But it still exists in the human domain, so it has to go somewhere. Are you familiar with possession?
Yeah.
Okay. When possession,
I actually felt like I had because I used to play around with the paranormal. And back in the day when I lived in LA and I was crazy and I was on drugs and all that, and I literally got like a bad attachment trying to, work with paranormal stuff, right?
Yeah.
And for 30 days, I was like experiencing hell here on earth, right? And finally it went away. And actually me feeling loved by my partner at the time was the one thing that got the bad attachment to release itself from me. So I totally believe in possessions and all that because I've kind of witnessed it on a very light level at one point in my life, which was, I swear to you, it was crazy. Like, you had to have been there. But
no, I get it. And
I was messing with the wrong shit. Let's just say that.
Absolutely. I have my own experiences with that. That's why this journey that I've been on, it's led me down to my path.
Yeah.
But the possession works in a way where certain things can't manifest in this realm because they don't have permission by God. Right?
Wow.
They're not allowed to exist here. But how they exist is through us.
Right.
Right?
Right.
We are the gateway, right? Like if you were to say some drug is a gateway drug to worse drugs, right? We are the gateway to how the demons can have more and more power.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of movies that have been made where you can clearly see that us humans, we are onto something. But the thing is, the best way to hide the truth is in plain sight.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
If someone says, that doesn't sound right, you got that from a movie. Yeah, that's the easiest way to debundle or debunk the truth, right? That's not true. That's Hollywood magic right there, you know? Okay, what about all the fact that Hollywood teaches us all this nastiness, right?
Right.
You got Love Island.
I used to live there, so I know.
You know, like, what does Love Island teach us? That it's okay to sleep around with every single person and do this and do that and share yourself and blah, 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 and cheat and do just horrible things, you know? And somehow it's okay. TV has taught us that this behavior is okay,
Right.
but it's not. And in
Yeah.
Islam, you are confined, right? Like a speed limit sign. If the I-77 says, "Hey, go 65 miles an hour," right? It's there to keep you protected, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the ones driving like 100, right? You see how many accidents happen on the 77 on a daily
Right.
basis, right? But if everyone followed regulations, more people would be protected. Same thing with Islam. All it's doing is just protecting you, either from yourself or outside sources,
Hmm.
right? If they say women dress more modestly, they're not saying, hey, you deserve to live in a sauna in the middle of the heat and this is like your punishment. It's like, no, because men can be awful creatures and men can take advantage of you.
Right.
And give yourselves to your fathers and your husbands because those men I put in your life to
For a
protect
reason.
you
Yeah.
and take care of you.
Yeah. So I know we're going to have to probably come back and do another episode because there's just so much here and we've already hit an hour now. And like, I haven't even got through
Crazy.
half of even a third of my questions. Right. So let's just, I guess, leave it with this. If there's one truth that both sides are missing, what would you think that is?
I don't think it's missing, is that people don't care about it anymore. It's just compassion. It's what I've been saying. Love thy neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Megan, if I lived next door to you and your house was burning, I would jump into your house and try to protect you, try to get you out, try to get your kid out, try to get your dogs out, your cats, you know, everyone, right? That's what I would do. And sometimes you have to sacrifice to do the right thing.
And you feel that that's missing, even though that's in the Bible, love thy neighbor.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if people really practice what they're preached, they would be welcoming all the refugees coming from war-torn countries with open arms and not like a nuisance or they're trying to colonize or take over, right? There are bad apples. I'm going to say not every single person that's going to come and find refuge here or other parts of Europe are going to be all good people. That's impossible to say that 100% of people in America are good people. Inherently, no one that's a human being is a good person because of their animalistic instincts, right?
Right.
So you could choke someone out, punch someone in the face, break their tooth, break their nose, give them a black eye, take a gun, shoot them, so many things. You can do so much awful things. But the thing that keeps us structured and organized is the faith that we have in God and what's brought upon us, right? You got the 10 Commandments, right?
Mm-hmm.
You should live by the 10 Commandments.
Right.
Because Muslims do and Christians do as well. It's just you got some bad apples ruining everything these days.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. We'll get back to it next week and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me
All
on.
right. Thank you.